on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. We are going to finish our discussion on the immorality of the civil rights leaders of the 1960s. Started on it yesterday, but didn't get a chance to finish it, so we're going to finish that up today. So we're going to talk about the immorality of the civil rights leaders of the 1960s. Today, on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, let's get this thing started. You know, yesterday I started this talk on the myth that the civil rights leaders of the 1960s were moral. A lot of them are dead now, some of them are still alive. But we had this myth in the black community. These guys were like the 12 disciples going around, you know, especially after King died. You know, Abernathy and Jesse Jackson, Andrew Young, and anybody that had been affiliated with King and had touched the hem of his garment, you know, was sanctified as nothing further from the truth. And y'all, I just scratched the surface on this stuff about these cats. I mean, these dudes. It's like traveling with a pervert circus. You find the most extreme groups of malcontents that you could find and put them in a circus together and just send them on tour throughout the city. That's what these guys were. And I always ask the question, what are the odds that 5 or 6 of the greatest perverts in America will end up in one organization called the SELC? You might end up with one pervert. You might end up with one guy that's kind of crazy and outlandish and others keep him in line. No, man, this was like, it was like the mafia of perverts. Just a bunch of sick jokers, man. So I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about them. I'm going to start in descending order with the least of them and go down to the ones that were really in charge. So, yeah, okay, so we start. Martin Luther King had a brother by the name of A.D. King. And A.D. would hang out with Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King was the star. A.D. was his little brother. A.D. was a preacher. Everybody in the family was a preacher that was a man because, you know, it was just the company business. So, sadly, A.D. died in 1969. Martin Luther King died in 68. A.D. died the year after. They said he drowned in his swimming pool. From what's been written about some of the things that A.D. did, even though married with children, A.D. was kind of a wild dude. In David Garrow's book and in Taylor Branch's book, they talked about when Martin Luther King Jr. went to Sweden, Stockholm, to get the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, that's a big deal, man. You got the King of Sweden. He's there. You got an orchestra playing, and you got all the Nobel laureates there. I mean, it's swanky. You got to wear a tuxedo, and it's really, really a big deal. And so King brings his entourage there with him. And this is what they say. I wasn't there. This was 1964. I was 1 year old, so don't be trying to put this on me. I'm telling you about the guys King ran with and how all these guys were of the same feather. So they said that after they gave King the Nobel Prize, well, you would think they'd go and have a nice dinner, go back to the restaurant. Go back to the hotel. It's been a long day, man. You won the Nobel Prize, all these dignitaries around you, you're shaking hands, all that. Oh, no, not these brothers, not these Negroes. Oh, hell no, it's time to party. They say, now, man, this is so messed up. They say that a woman called Bayard Rustin, who, of course, was messed up his own self. We'll get into Bayard Rustin later. So Bayard Rustin was there in the hotel. And one of the people from the hotel, one of the people that didn't want to get King in no trouble, you just won the Nobel Prize, man. You don't want tabloids and all this kind of stuff involved in this. One of the people from the hotel called Bayard Rustin and said, Mr. Rustin, can you please get up there with Martin Luther King Jr. and his gang? Bayard said, what they doing? They said, A.D. King is he's naked chasing a prostitute down the hallway, saying that she stole his money. Now, can you imagine hearing that? You got to wake up in the middle of the night and somebody tell you some crap like that. The AD is naked, running down the hallway, chasing a white prostitute, saying that she got his money. Bayard Rustin got to go up there and straighten that up. And you say, okay, I think that's a harbinger that some bad stuff is going to keep on happening down the way. These jokers have lost all impulse control problems. All impulse control. So Bayard go up there and straighten that out. And I don't know how AD found a white prostitute in Sweden. But, you know, I guess there's a special skill set that all of them had about finding hoes when they went somewhere. So the night of the mountaintop speech, King had went over to this woman's house and slept with her. And Ralph Abernathy says, and the wall came tumbling down. Again, I'm giving you my source. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I'm telling you what was written. So Ralph Abernathy says, they drive up, it's raining, to the Rain Motel that night. Dr. King sees AD's car. He said, hey, AD's here. Let's see what AD's doing. They go to AD's room. Ralph says, now, AD's married and got children. They said, well, AD was in the room with a white woman. That's what Ralph said. And was Martin Luther King Jr. alarmed? AD, what the hell are you doing in the hotel room with this woman in HOA? Nah. He rolled up in there and him and AD, I don't know what that. Anyway, man. So anyway, that was AD. AD was just like MLK. They were not alarmed at each other's habits and what each other did, and they didn't try to reel each other in. They were codependent, it seemed like. Then they protected each other. Well, then we get to John Lewis. Now, as far as immorality is concerned with John Lewis, became a congressman, John Lewis wasn't so much as immoral. John Lewis is just stupid. John Lewis is so stupid you kind of felt sorry for him. They said that when he was a little boy on the on his people's place that he used to preach to chickens. So John Lewis never really had good sense. So when he joined SNCC and joined the Freedom Riders, what John Lewis became was a crash test dummy. He was good to get his ass whooped. Now they tear him up. They got more pictures of John Lewis bleeding from the head than they probably got him standing up in Congress making speeches. That joker would take a ass whooping and I didn't understand it. But he would go up there and he'd brag about taking them. And I heard a commercial one time in South Carolina. He did one for a guy running for Congress. And he's bragging about how many times he got beat up. I got beat down in the head 27 times. I forget how many times he said, but he was like proud of getting beat up and beat across the head. So they had written, the Soviet Union had said they were going to use the black community as cannon fodder for their movement. You know, that means just put them out there like Hezbollah does suicide bombers. Send them out there and let them get the hell beat out of them. While we sit up here and watch. They beat them down, we kill them, we put them all out there. They're expendable. Well, John Lewis was one of them. But they were just kind of amazed at the type of beat down John Lewis could get. He was like a Timex watch. He would take a licking and keep on ticking. And most people will take a whooping like that and say, I ain't going to do this no more. John Lewis is almost like Joe Frazier. You just keep on coming. Wham, 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 wham. You keep on coming. So that's what John Lewis was good for. They would put John Lewis on the front line and say John Lewis can take punches. And John Lewis take like a hell of a lot of punches. And he just got famous for it. So when he ran for Congress, everybody saw how John Lewis had sacrificed his body for the civil rights movement, and they voted him in. I think they just kind of felt sorry for him. Because sometimes that happens. You know, you find a person that's been in the military, you see they took a whole lot of hits, and they run for office, and people will, say, well, you earned your right to be up in there because you took all these hits. Tammy Duckworth is a senator from the state of Illinois. She's a Democrat, and Tammy was a fighter pilot, and she had to have both her legs amputated from serving her country, and I salute her for it. And she's been elected. She got elected to Congress, elected to Senate. But some people, they earned that in battle. And I guess black people kind of saw Lewis the way the people in Illinois saw Tammy Duckworth. They said, you earned that in battle, man. You took the shots, boy. And he took them. So they're on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And they didn't have a court order to march. The court had told them not to march. And John Lewis was going to march anyway. And they had those horses and billy clubs and hard hats on there that told them about not march. And John Lewis thought them white boys was playing. They weren't playing. They still got pictures of the beating them down right now on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. They got John Lewis doing this right here. Just whooping it. So John Lewis go back with a concussion, bleeding from the head as always. And if this just becomes, Bloody Sunday, John Lewis walked across the bridge again for the rest of his life, singing "We Shall Overcome." And I guess that song aggravates me, man. We shall overcome. What's overcome what? These jokers wound up coming down in private jets, millionaires, singing "We Shall Overcome." I said, well, overcome what? You jokers doing all right? What are we overcoming? If we need to overcome anything, it's these black Marxists in the Congress and their ignorance. Overcome the Democratic Party and their stupidity. And all these ignorant jokers ended up in the Democrat Party. John Lewis sure enough ran as a Democrat for Congress. Stayed there till he died. So John Lewis gets beat down at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And I got a John Lewis story. So when I was running for Congress in 2000, I went up on Capitol Hill to confer with some Republican congressmen to see if I can get some support and raise some money, this and that and the other. So I'm up there with Congressman Jim DeMint, a few others. So I go to the house cafeteria to get something to eat with them, right? And so I got a name tag on because nobody knows who I am. I'm visiting. But the word got around. I was up there running against Jim Clyburn, black Republican. So I'm sitting down to get something to eat. John Lewis and a group of black Democrats sat across the table, looking at me, rolling their eyes at me. Of course, I was younger then. You think I'm mean now. I just got through working in the penitentiary 2 years earlier. Fight? Where? Let's get down, bro. So I'm staring back, right? John Lewis said, John Lewis was tired tongue because all them butt cuttings he had took, that kind of messed up his brain a bit, right? So he couldn't really talk. So John Lewis said, looked at my name tag. Yeah, I see you over there, Ellison. Sitting there eating with the enemy. I ain't nothing but a traitor. And I said to John Lewis, look back at him, I said, John, I ain't gonna hold that against you because I know you ain't at yourself from all them ass cuttings you took on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. John Lewis, let me tell you something, Ellison. I grabbed John Lewis and hold him back. And I sat back and I started laughing because they had to grab him. Let me tell you something, Ellison. I thought I fought for your freedom. You ain't fought for nobody's freedom, man. Sit down somewhere before you get some more brain damage. Why let that light up the left side of your brain? It's one of my favorite memories of all time. Anyway, y'all, I'm sorry. Let me tell you something, Ellison. I had to grab him and hold him back. It was hilarious. Oh, Lord have mercy. Anyway, he got so mad at me because I think I'm the first person to ever question, what he did on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and y'all say he got brain damage from it. But it was a classic moment. And it was one of the high points of my life to be able to jump on the civil rights crew, make a moment. They all got mad at me. You talk to John Lewis like that, you know me, Al. I was so mean, I just cussed them all out, called them all kind of terrible things I can't say on YouTube. And I've been on the enemies list ever since. So, you know. But that was 25 years ago. They ain't killed me yet. So, so anyway, old John Lewis. John Lewis got cancer. And he told everybody he was dying. And the last thing John Lewis did, to show you how reprobate his mind was, it was during the George Floyd's riots, and they had painted the Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, D.C. Y'all seen it. It's like they painted a big old mural. And John Lewis, in his last act of defiance, they rolled him out of the hospital bed, put him in a suit, got him out the car, and he just stood there on Black Lives Matter Plaza. And then everybody take pictures of it. Black Lives Matter is an atheist, Marxist, anti-family, pro-LGBTQ group. So John Lewis revealed at his death who he really was, a freaking Marxist. So that's John Lewis. Oh, let's go to one of my favorite ones. Reverend Justice, Reverend Al Sharpton, the man with the pompadour. Like I said again, if you want to see the contempt liberals have for Black America, you just put on MSNBC and look at Al Sharpton and Joy Reid. Al Sharpton still got a conch in his hair, and the conch went out of style when David Ruffin left the Temptations in 1967. He still got a James Brown hairstyle. That's what y'all sick he is. So, a lot of y'all don't remember Al Sharpton like I do. Al used to be real fat. I mean, just nasty fat. And he had that James Brown hairstyle, and he used to wear jogging suits and all kind of jewelry. He was just a horrible individual. He hadn't changed. So in New York City, when he first heard about Al Sharpton, this little black girl by the name of Tawana Brawley. She had stayed out all night against the wishes of her father, and when she came home, she told a lie to cover it up, said that she had been grabbed by racist white people, and they put feces all over her, and they put, I think they put KKK on her head. I don't know if it's KKK or not, but they did all these terrible things to her, and she came home with feces on her and stuff. Of course, the parents went to the police, and Al Sharpton got wind of it. Oh, that joker went out. Boy, they had the girl on the news, Al Sharpton screaming about this, that, and the other. It was horrible. Come to find out it was a lie. And that's how Al got famous. And Al got bit by that bug, and that joker ain't stopped since. He's been involved in all kind of shenanigans, all kind of crap since then. I mean, did y'all know Al Sharpton ran for president? Of course, as a Democrat. Al ran president, mayor of New York. He's involved in the Duke Lacrosse thing, the Jenna Six thing, Trayvon Martin thing. Him and Ben Crump has come together. Now, they the Justice Brothers. Whenever they find a black man got shot by a white cop, they show up and they sue the city. And then they share the money. That's the game they play now. So, but there's something else about Al Sharpton that's very, very interesting. Show you how messed up he is. When I was in Florida with Patrick Bet David, the night that Trump won the presidency, at Valuetainment, he had, this was a gala. I don't think, thousands of people were there. I was invited to be on the panel with Candace Owens. And I was up in the super VIP area. And the super VIP area was a place where you had to pay $25,000 a piece to be up in there. Yeah, that's the type of money these people had. I was in there for free, though. I didn't pay no money to get up in there, man. That's how I roll. So I was in the super VIP area, and I run into this guy who I recognize. His name was Michael Francisi. Francisi has a podcast of his own now. And Francisi was straight up mafia in the day. I mean, straight up, stone cold, deep, dark mafia. Francisi is so mafia, even when you see Francisi now, you say he mafia. So I recognized him, and I remember that Francisi had outed Al Sharpton, maybe 25 years ago, and he was on Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. Now, he was explaining to Brian Gumbel some things about how the mob works. And he told Brian Gumbel that Al Sharpton had worked for the mob. And he was a bag man doing all kind of this and all kind of that. And he had FBI tape showing Al Sharpton taking bribes and everything. Yeah, and I remembered it. So it finally came out that it was true. That Al Sharpton was a bag man. He was with the Gambino crime family. And that he was selling drugs in the black community. That's what they say. Yeah, selling drugs in the black community. Al Sharpton was all behind all that. That's what they say. I didn't say it. Don't put it on me. I ain't never met Al Sharpton. If I did, I'd probably choke him out. Figuratively. So I don't know. That's what Michael Francese said. So I walked up to Mr. Francese. I said, Mr. Francese, good to meet you. He said, hey, young man. And we started talking. I told him about the thing. He said, oh, man. He said, you remember that? I said, yeah. He said, boy, Sharpton was no good. He said, that guy was in and he was selling drugs and he said, man, I tell you what, man, we exchanged numbers. He said, I'm going to get you on my show and we're going to talk about it because your community needs to know about how terrible this guy is. I said, Mr. Francese, you going to get in trouble. Francis said, I ain't scared of, I ain't scared of, yes. That's okay. And he just told me Sharpton was no good. Never have been. Always sold your people out. I believe it to be true because of his past and what he continues to do. Just recently, Al found out that he gave an interview to Kamala Harris. Everybody thought it was a legit interview. You just wanted to talk to him. No, come to find out, she had to give him $500,000 to his organization. He got paid for it. That's who he is. The menthol cigarette people, they found out that menthol cigarettes are killing black people. Well, that menthol cigarettes made the addiction to nicotine much more prevalent, and that black people who smoked mostly smoked menthol cigarettes. And the FDA wanted to ban menthol cigarettes. And Joe Biden was supposed to sign the executive order getting it done. And of course, the tobacco manufacturers didn't want to do that. So guess who they called? They called Al Sharpton. The Surgeon General said that if we ban these menthol cigarettes, we're going to save 300 to 600,000 black lives in the next few years. 300 to 600,000. So Al Sharpton didn't want people to know that he was working for the tobacco industry, so he hired Eric Garner and George Floyd's brother to go into the black community, do the dirty work for him. He paid them under the table. And Joe Biden didn't sign it. So he could have saved 300,000 to 600,000 black lives. And chose not to because they gave him money. So I guess black lives don't matter when it comes to menthol cigarettes. And so when somebody asks Al, you getting paid to let these black folks die? I'm sure Al said, and? Am I getting paid? Yes, Al, but 600,000 black people are going to die. That's their problem. That's black leadership, y'all. Give it a hand. Al Sharpton, go Al, go Al, go Al. Then you got this guy by the name James Bevel. Y'all might not know about James, but y'all know his work. James was involved with Martin Luther King Jr. big time during the Civil Rights Movement. He wasn't like his organizer. He was like his shot master. He'd go in to a town and he'd organize people to march and he'd organize, sit-ins. And James Bevel was a little troublemaker. There was joking about that tall. But that sucked a lot of run women. So Civil Rights Movement ends. James Bevel just doing different things and getting with different people doing different things. But James Bevel didn't stop with his perverted behavior because in order to be around Martin Luther King Jr., the number one prerequisite was not that you be a Christian or you be a minister. The number one prerequisite was that you be a pervert. And James Bevel was an A1 pervert. Let me tell you what this sucker did. Later on in life, come to find out that James Bevel's daughters, I'll read it to you, So according to NBC News report, on October 15, 2008, Reverend James Bevel was arrested in May 2007 on charges of incest. The accuser was one of his daughters. She was between 13 to 15 years old during the times of the rapes. Later, 3 other daughters came forward and confessed that Bevel had also sexually abused them. He got 4 daughters that he was raping. So the daughter had set James Bevel up on a sting. She called him up, talked to him, led him into confessing on what he'd done. It said information from a phone call taken during the police sting operation was presented at the trial. It recorded a conversation between Bevel and his daughter without Bevel's knowledge. During the call, Bevel's daughter asked him why he had sex with her one time in 1993 and why he wanted her to use a vaginal douche afterward. Bevel said that he had no interest in getting his daughter pregnant. He was convicted of incest and sentenced to 15 years in prison. After 3 hours of deliberation, on November 4th, 2008, he received an appeal bond after being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He died December 19th, 2008. Isn't that interesting? He was arrested on May 2007. He went to prison April 2008. He was dead December 2008. God would not let him go to the grave without facing what he had done. Now we know. Yeah, one of King's cohorts. James Bevel, incest, raping his own daughters. And then we get to the juicy. The Reverend Jesse Jackson. Boy, Jesse was showing up a piece of work. Don't get messy with Jesse. Jesse Jackson, I remember about maybe 15 years ago when he came to find out that Jesse had fathered an outside child. It ain't the child's problem, so we don't want to talk about the child. But Jesse walking around talking about all this stuff. He's a reverend, and then he fathered an outside child. Yeah, Jesse Jackson. They caught him on a hot mic saying that he was going to castrate Barack Obama, so he's going to cut off his calling black people N-word. But worse than that was directly after the assassination of Martin Luther King, the actions of Jesse Jackson, which are amazing. A lot of people don't know what Jesse Jackson did. King had gotten shot, and of course he had died, and they were all they had left him at the hospital, and they came back to the Lorraine Motel. They had all decided that nobody was going to talk to the press, nobody was going to go anywhere, that we were going to all stay together, and they were going to organize what they were going to do and say and this and that and the other. Of course, Jesse said, okay. Well, they said that Martin Luther King never ever trusted Jesse Jackson for a whole lot of reasons. And Martin saw in Jesse a Machiavellian type of mindset. So Ralph Abernathy writes about what Jesse did after the Lorraine Motel, after King had got shot. This is what Ralph says. He said, it seems that shortly after the ambulance had left, the press had on the place cameras and crews and reporters, local staff, network, all eager to put someone on camera to tell the story. Jesse and Jose had both agreed that until they knew what had happened, they would avoid the press and stay out of sight. At least that's what Hosea had thought was the understanding. So he was more than a little surprised to look out the window and see Jesse Jackson standing in front of several cameras speaking into a microphone that a reporter was holding in his face. Curious, Hosea slipped outside and eased up behind Jesse, though on the other side of the chain link fence. Yes, Jesse was saying, I was the last person he spoke to as I was cradling him in my arms. Just a lie. King had just left in the ambulance, and Jesse Jackson was lying, saying he was cradling him in his arms. He was the last person that spoke to him. Jesse was nowhere around King when he got shot. He was down in the parking lot. With a roar of anger, Hosea started cursing and halfway up the chain fence before one of the others pulled him down and held him until his anger had cooled. But Jackson had told the same story, or nearly the same, the morning on the Today Show. So he went on to the Today Show, told the same lie. Indeed, that afternoon, Jesse appeared before the Chicago Council wearing a blood-stained shirt. A blood-stained shirt, a fake blood-stained shirt. Martin Luther King Jr. was dead, hadn't been dead 24 hours. Jesse Jackson had gone and got a shirt and put fake blood on it. A fake blood, wearing a blood-stained shirt, saying that it was the same shirt he had been wearing the previous evening when he held Martin. On June 23rd, 1987, the Washington Post confirmed the story. Think about this, y'all. Supposedly your best friend has just got killed in front of you. You're supposed to be in the fetal position crying your eyes out. I don't know. Jesse Jackson has a wherewithal to get in front of the cameras and lie and say, I was holding him when he died. Left and got a bloody shirt, put fake blood on it, and said he was holding him, he was cradling him when he died. All of it a lie. That's Jesse Jackson. Remember, Jesse Jackson went before, he was on his plane running when he was running for president. And they asked him about going to New York City. He called New York Hammy-town. Hammy-town, Hammy is a slang for being a Jewish person. And Jesse, we're going to Hammy-town. And this reporter wrote it just at the, I'm sorry, I messed up. Dude was anti-Semitic, called black folks the N-word, running, women got outside child, holding Dr. King, lying about the assassination of Dr. King, your best friend. Lordy, 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 Lordy. But these are the people that led the civil rights movement. These bunch of weirdos, malcontents, and perverts. And then the very last one, Bayard Rustin. Bayard Rustin be a hero now. At that time, Bayard was openly gay. He had got caught having sex in the parked car with two white gentlemen. Bayard had been a communist, probably still a communist. Bayard was the one that introduced Martin Luther King Jr. to Stanley Levinson, who was a real communist. And they formed the SELC, they wrote the bylaws, they did all of this stuff. Bayard Rustin was a stone cold communist, he was a stone cold freak, he was running around. Dr. King said, we got to keep the little boys away from Bayard because if Bayard see one, he's sure gonna grab him. And they all started laughing. So they laughed about how Bayard Rustin loved grabbing little boys and sexually assaulting them. Yeah. So these are your leaders of the civil rights movement. Jokes that led you to the bottom of everything in the industrialized world. The ones that led you to the worst school system, family destroyed, half the male population in jail, economic distress, still riding 60 years later because of the leadership of these bunch of morons and malcontents and ne'er-do-wells and just straight up stupid, imbecile perverts. But I bet white liberals stand back just laughing their behinds off at black people. Look at what we gave. We gave them the Three Stooges to be their heroes. Joker's worse than the Three Stooges. Y'all, we got to talk about this. If they had, if we were where the Jewish community is right now, we wouldn't be talking. If we were where the Asian community is right now, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be holding these guys up and I'd be right with you. If we were where the people that are descendants from Indian descent right now, I'd be right with you, holding you up. Yeah, man, we doing great. If we were just where the first generation Africans that came from Africa, from Nigeria, are, I'd be marching with you on the civil rights days. Now we're at the bottom, and we're still celebrating failure. But haven't I given you some great information today so you can reevaluate yourself and see how no good these jokers are? Oh, and I ain't finished. Because as I told you before, I am here to wake you up. Hope I did you some good today. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go to my website. And on my website, you're going to see a lot of great stuff, man. You're going to see that we got t-shirts, we got caps. You got my books, my documentaries. You got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new t-shirts. We're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it. Make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good. And it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the t-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.